Welcome to the English Briefing, the podcast for intermediate learners who want to use English confidently in the real world. I'm Chloe.
And I'm Leo. It's great to have you with us.
Today, we're tackling a topic that can be a little intimidating for everyone, even native speakers: networking.
Right. Specifically, networking in English at professional conferences. These events are fantastic opportunities to meet people in your industry, but starting a conversation with a stranger in a second language, that can be stressful.
Exactly. You might worry, what should I say? How do I start? How do I end the conversation without being rude?
Well, don't worry. In today's episode, we're going to give you practical tips and useful phrases to help you network like a pro. We'll cover everything from preparation to saying a polite goodbye.
So, let's get started.
All right, Chloe. So, the first step to successful networking actually happens before you even arrive at the conference.
You mean preparation. It's key, isn't it?
It absolutely is. First, do a little research. Look at the conference schedule and the list of speakers or attendees if it's available. See if there's anyone you'd particularly like to meet.
That's a great tip. Having a goal makes it less overwhelming. And another key part of preparation is getting your introduction ready. We call this an elevator pitch.
An elevator pitch, right. Can you explain what that is for our listeners?
Of course. An elevator pitch is a very short 30-second introduction about who you are, what you do, and why you're at the conference. The name comes from the idea that you should be able to say it in the time it takes to ride an elevator.
It's your professional story in a nutshell. For example, I might say, "Hi, I'm Leo. I'm a marketing consultant from Toronto, specializing in digital strategy for small businesses. I'm here to learn about the latest trends in AI marketing."
That's perfect. It's clear, concise, and it gives the other person information they can ask questions about.
Exactly. Like, AI marketing? What do you find most interesting about that?
Right. So our advice for listeners is to write down your own elevator pitch and practice saying it out loud a few times. The goal is for it to sound natural and confident, not robotic.
Okay, so you've done your preparation, you have your elevator pitch ready. Now you're at the conference, surrounded by people. This is often the hardest part, starting the conversation.
It really is. That first step can be scary. A good strategy is to look for someone who is standing alone, maybe looking at their phone or getting a coffee. They're often more open to being approached than a group.
Right. And you can start with a very simple, polite question.
Exactly. For example, if you see an empty chair at a table, you can walk over and ask, "Excuse me, is this seat taken?"
That's a classic, easy and effective. Or you can be a bit more direct. Just smile, make eye contact, and say, "Hi, I'm Leo. I don't think we've met."
Now, what about joining a group that's already talking? That feels much more difficult.
It is trickier, but definitely possible. The key is to be polite and not interrupt. Wait for a small pause in their conversation, and then you can say something like, "Excuse me, I hope you don't mind me joining you. What you were saying about artificial intelligence sounded really interesting."
That's a great phrase. It shows you are listening and are genuinely interested. Another fantastic way to start any conversation is to use your shared context.
Shared context? You mean the conference itself?
Yep, you're all in the same place at the same event. Use it. You can turn to the person next to you after a presentation and ask, "What did you think of that talk?"
Or comment on the food or the venue. "This coffee is surprisingly good, isn't it?" Or, "This is my first time at this conference. Have you been before?"
Exactly. These are called icebreakers because they break the uncomfortable silence and give you an easy, low-pressure way to start talking. Okay, so you've successfully broken the ice. Amazing! But now, what do you talk about? How do you keep the conversation going?
This is where good questions are your best friend, specifically open-ended questions.
Right. Can you remind our listeners what an open-ended question is?
Of course. An open-ended question is one that can't be answered with a simple yes or no. They usually start with words like what, why, where, when, who, and how. They invite the other person to share more information.
Exactly. So instead of asking a closed question like, Do you work in marketing, which gets a yes or no answer?
You could ask an open-ended question like, so, what kind of work do you do? Or, how did you get started in your industry?
Perfect examples. Other great ones for conferences are, what brings you to this event? Or which speakers are you most excited to see?
These questions show you're interested in the other person. But remember, a conversation is a two-way street. It's not an interview.
That's a very important point. You also need to listen actively and share things about yourself.
Active listening. That means showing you're engaged. You can use small phrases like, that's interesting, or really, tell me more.
Yes, and then connect their answer to your own experience. If they say they're from Lisbon, you could say, "Oh, Lisbon! I've always wanted to go there. I've heard the food is incredible."
That's how you build a real connection. Ask, listen, and share. It's a cycle. All right, you've had a great conversation, but you can see another speaker you want to catch, or you simply want to meet more people. How do you end the conversation without seeming rude?
The graceful exit. It's a crucial skill. First, remember that it's completely normal to move on at a networking event. Everyone understands.
Good point. No one expects you to talk to them for an hour.
Right. So the first step is to say something positive about the conversation. For example, "Well, it's been really great talking to you, Maria."
That signals that the conversation is coming to a close. Then it's helpful to give a simple reason for leaving.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be a big excuse. You can say, "But I should probably go and find my colleague," or "I'm going to grab a drink of water before the next session starts."
Very smooth. And if you genuinely enjoyed talking to the person and want to stay in touch, this is the perfect moment to do it.
Yes, you can say, "I'd love to connect on LinkedIn. What's your name on there?" Or, "Do you have a business card?"
Perfect. So the formula is 1. A positive comment. 2. A reason for leaving. 3. A way to connect if you want to. And finally, a simple goodbye.
It was a pleasure meeting you. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
And that's it. You've successfully navigated the conversation from start to finish.
So, to quickly recap our top tips for networking in English,
First, prepare. Know who you want to meet and practice your 30-second elevator pitch.
second, be brave and break the ice. Use the context of the conference to start a conversation.
Third, keep the conversation going by asking open-ended questions, listening actively, and sharing about yourself.
And finally, know how to make a graceful exit. Say something positive, give a reason, and say a polite goodbye.
If you practice these steps, you'll find networking becomes much less stressful and much more rewarding.
That's all the time we have for today on the English Briefing. Thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time.